Hey guys, I thought I'd do one more tonight on my DVD collection videos on my favorite TV shows. I just did one, and went on for a while, and I put in 2 parts showing my favorite comedies. I thought, in case you wanted to see some of my favorite TV shows that are on DVD, there are quite a few that aren't, like Family Guy. Fuck, not Family. Hey guys, I thought I'd do a DVD... Hey guys, I thought I'd do another one of my DVD collection videos showing my favorite TV shows. Of course, some of my favorite shows like Family Matters and Wonder Years aren't on DVD yet. Hopefully at some point they will. The first one I picked was Steven Spielberg's show that he presented, Amazing Stories. This is only the first season, I believe. I have another one that's a bootleg of all the episodes. But I thought I'd show this one because you can actually buy it in stores. I don't think it sold too well, so I don't think we're going to see any more. I hope we do, but, you know, in good editions. But this was a great show, basically like similar to Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, but with a lot of money behind it. You know, Steven Spielberg's backing, so everything had really great music, good sets, good props, and it was a very well-produced show. Some of my favorite... It has some of my favorite episodes, I think, were on this season. This is definitely something to check out. You might be able to rent it. Another show that, and I'm showing this the first season of most of these because I don't want to lug out all of them. The next one I picked was Carnival. It's another show that's an HBO show that got canned after 2 seasons. They were planning on doing a movie for it, but I guess that fell through. But it was a show about the carnival in the 30s. And you might not think that sounds very interesting, but it was a very interesting show. Very good cast. The one kid, Nick Stahl, who's the kid in it, well, not really a kid, I guess he's supposed to be like a young adult, whatever the hell you'd say. But he was the one who replaced Eddie Furlong in T3. And if they do sequels, I believe he's going to continue to do them. I saw they're doing something with Terminator now, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which I have no interest in seeing because, you know, I want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger back again. The next I picked was Lost in Space, which was very similar to Gilligans Island. It's like basically was Gilligans Island but in space, and was similar characters, similar plot. Basically, Dr. Smith was Gilligan, and Dr. Smith and the robot were Gilligan, kind of, and definitely worth watching. I think every so often it gets played on the Sci-Fi Channel. The DVDs are pretty expensive, like. The first season was released in this big set with, I don't know, it was like 8 or 9 discs. It's like all these discs. But it was over, like, I think it was $140. It was really high price. I think it's one of the most expensive DVDs I ever bought. Pretty sure. Although, I think it is. The one that I wanted to buy, but it's over $160, was the Land of the Giants. But that's a really shitty price for an old show. I don't know about that. But when they did the other seasons, though, they were about $40, but they were only half of the season, so you ended up spending about $80 to $90. But if you like science fiction sort of shows and you like Gilligan's Island, you definitely would like this. The next I picked was Pete and Pete, The Adventures of Pete and Pete, which was one of the better Nick shows. Because there were some Nick shows that came on. Not every Nick show was automatically good, like things like Shelby Woo, ate shit. If anyone watched those, oh my god, that was awful. So this was one of the best Nick shows, I'd say, like fully produced Nick shows, because a lot of shows like, well, My Brother and Me I always loved, but that was fucking canned with 12 episodes, and I don't know if anyone remembers that, but Nickelodeon would play him again and again. They were the most played show ever. Like, I got to the point when I could quote all the lines. It was like, coming up next, My Brother and Me. It went on for about 3 straight years, every Sunday. At this time, I was always home watching TV. They played it again. They kept replaying them and replaying them and replaying them. It was like the amount of time they replayed them, they should have just produced a second season. The next I picked is a show that I know MJ agrees with me on as being a great show, is Home Improvement, which I'm happy is getting re-seen again by new people on Nick at Night, whatever they call it. not TV Land, but Nick at Night, like once it hits 9 o'clock or 9:30, one of those times, it's played on Nick. The next thing I picked was The Brady Bunch, and I liked every season of this show. I thought it was good all through the end. I know it ended really sadly, like the father at the point was not, like, wouldn't do the last episode because he didn't agree with the script. He thought it was crap. I don't think the last episode was very good, but I think they believed there was going to be more, and they found out it was canceled. And a lot of you would know they brought it back as TV movies, like the Brady Girls Get Married, the Brady Brides, and that Brady 300. Oof. That wasn't very good. I got that on that big edition box that showed that. Wasn't that good. The next I picked was Full House. I've gotten a lot of shit from people, like, why do you like this? Thing is, when you grow up watching the show, like when you're the same age as Michelle, watching it growing up, you can see how it relates. It relates to your life and what's going on in the show at the exact time. So what was going on for me. So it's basically like almost in a way looking back on like my childhood years in a way, but just through a show like that. The next I picked was one of my favorite Nick shows that was produced by another company, and Nick just aired it. Are You Afraid of the Dark? And these are from Canada. You can get all up to season 4 now. I talked about season 4 in the DVD update I just did a couple days ago. And the next, I never consider this to be a TV show exactly because I never saw it for the first time on TV. I always saw it on VHS, like tapes. But it was still aired on TV originally. But it's almost more like a show like I watched on tape, called Ron Atkinson's Mr. Bean, the whole series. The only flaw with this disc is, like, I fell in love with certain episodes in certain forms, and when they put them on DVD, they cut a lot of stuff out, like scene with Mr. Bean when he messed with the chair, an old woman got crushed inside of a chair. The scene of Mr. Bean weighing a turkey is cut out. You know, it's just kind of sad to see scenes that you really liked missing from the disc, but I guess that they just do that to make more room, and I guess maybe they were only on the tape editions, I don't know. And for some more TVs, I picked Was Strangers with Candy, which was brought back in a movie, which was just a so-so movie. The main reason it wasn't as that good was because a lot of the cast was replaced. I know they got too old, but still, the show was a very good show. Very well produced, very funny. The movie was a lot of the same jokes. And it was one of those situations where I don't know if it was fully needed, and it was a little bit too late when they came back with it. The next thing I picked was Freaks and Geeks, which is produced by the people who have done all those movies like Superbad, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, which I've liked all of them. I think I liked Superbad the best, I guess because I'm like in that age group, so it was kind of interesting, and the kids were kind of outdated, and I kind of liked that. It was pretty nice. What's funny is like a lot of people in they've all gone on to be in the other movies, but this was one of the. I remember when I first saw this on tape. I never saw him on TV, but I was like a big wreck about how it ended, and I was like, "There's never going to be more." And she just went off in that car, and that was the end. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The next I picked was Married with Children, and this is. I mean, a lot of people don't like this show, but I don't know. It was the show that launched Fox. It was what got Fox going before The Simpsons came along, and pretty much without this show, Fox, at least so they've said, wouldn't have been on the air still. This saved them from bankruptcy. But it was a very funny show. The shows, I think, got better as they went along. The first seven seasons were a little cheesy. I don't always like the cheering and all that clapping. Sometimes when you have to hear that too much in a show, it kind of pisses you off when you have to watch it with that. Sometimes I wish I could just turn it off. I've only ever seen that function on that Chris Elliott show, Get a Life. You could turn the laugh track off somehow. It was the only DVD I've ever seen that had the ability to do that. The next I picked was a totally shit-on show, the Jamie Kennedy Experiment. I like this show, and I think it could have gone on for years more. The problem was Jamie Kennedy is so recognizable that, first of all, he looks the same every character he did. I mean, really wasn't much fooling. He's a little bit like me. I could put on any kind of outfit, but my face, you're just going to know it's me right away. Some people really have the ability to look different. A lot of the Jamie Kennedy characters just looked right like him with a cheap wig and a mustache. Some of them looked a little different, but I think what happened was the ratings were slipping because it was on WB. That was the time, I think, before Smallville started. Maybe. It might have been before WB started getting successful shows that brought in the ratings, but it just got shit on pretty badly. And I think there's no reason why he couldn't do more now. I think by now people have probably forgotten about him a bit. The next I picked is one of my all-time favorite shows of all time. Definitely my top show ever. Gilligans Island. A lot of people hate this. And I've seen pretty poor reviews of it on Internet Movie Database, and people say, "Why would you want to watch that? That was no good." I don't know, something about it was just a real positive, inspiring show. It was like a comforting show. Nothing about it ever pissed you off. It never had anything negative about it. Like, I like watching shows that are positive. A lot of people nowadays love negative stuff, like real negative, loud music. But sometimes it's nice to have something positive, you know? I know some of those teens out there wouldn't agree. They're like, "Oh, no." But come on, just try and be positive a little bit. Watch something positive and nice that'll boost your spirits on your day. The next I picked is Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is still on. It was off for 2 years, then it came back, then I think for the 6th season, which was the best season of all of them. And if you're going to jump into buying any of them, wait for that one. That was one of my favorites. Of course, you should probably see the first one to get an idea of the characters. These always had weird DVD cases, the weirdest of any of them. You have to push them up like this. See how you do it? The only DVDs that ever used these cases. I never quite understood why. And luckily enough, though, they're an HBO show that isn't really overpriced. Like the Carnival set was not like $100. These are only like 30 to 35, which is pretty good. And I know Best Buy had a sale, maybe over by now, and you could get certain HBO shows like this for like 19 or something like that. When you can find HBO shows, if you don't have them on sale for a good price, go for them, because they're really overpriced compared to other shows. The next thing I picked was The Simpsons. I actually did a commentary on one of the episodes of this on YouTube, so if you want to look for that on The Simpsons episode when they go camping in the woods. This is a show I've always liked. I started watching right when it started, and I still watch it till to this day. There was a period of time when I stopped for a little while, like when I was in middle school and I was trying to be real current and against things. Everyone goes through certain stages. That was like my least favorite years of life, middle school. Some people love middle school. Middle school was shit. And a lot of things I watched in middle school I don't like watching anymore. It's too bad. It wasn't a very positive time. You know, it wasn't like that I wasn't like one of those people that got beaten up or anything. Those years were awkward, bad years. But the next thing I picked, which has been still in the air, was Mike Judge's other show, King of the Hill, which I think does pretty well still. It does get really shit on TV though, because it comes on like usually when those football games are running over. King of the Hill usually is the one that gets cut into. Sometimes they start the show over and you see the whole thing. Normally they cut in the middle. So like not this current season, but the season before was always cut into. You never got to see it. Luckily enough, this season has been pretty much, they've been playing them. And this season's been pretty funny. I've been taping them, so because they said the DVDs aren't selling, so they aren't going to do anymore, which is too bad. It really sucks when something doesn't sell well, and then they cancel it. It's just too bad they don't release a huge set for not a big, huge price, because if they know no one wants it, but I'll buy it. Next thing I picked was Peewees Playhouse, both of the sets. I know there's been talk for years about Paul Reubens doing a big set with commentaries and features. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not for a while, because it's not talked about much anymore. In the beginning, he said a year later the big set was going to come out. I don't know if there's lack of interest or if he's waiting for when the Pee-wee movie comes out. I'm not sure. But they're probably not very expensive anymore, and they're getting kind of hard to find. So if you want the show, you want to see it, I definitely recommend picking up the first season to get the gist of it. Because if you watch it from the second, from the second collection, the show changed a lot. Because in the beginning it was more cartoony and more weird, and the music was really like Rugratsy. Then later it became like a little different. Like a lot of the characters were taken out. You know what I mean if you watch the show. I think the show was my favorite at the beginning. I loved all the episodes though, but I just loved the first couple episodes because they were the weirdest of all of them. And the last disc I picked was South Park. I know this is pretty mainstream and a lot of people have this, but I remember seeing this first when it came on. I was in the 6th grade. It was the thing to talk about. What's funny is this show continuously comes in and out of the trend. There's times when no one cares about it, and there's certain seasons and years that go by when it's hardly discussed. Then it comes back, and it's big again. Everyone's talking about it. It's on the news again. It's controversial, all that. But it's pretty popular again, although it had times when it was not as big, but it's definitely a show which I'm sure most people have seen. Some people probably get offended by it, but it's just silly humor. But if you get a chance to, definitely would check it out if you haven't seen it. But I'm pretty sure you've all at least would have seen it at least once, because I know they played on Fox in a real edited form at like midnight or 2 in the morning or a weird time on the weekends or something. But I think they played Reno 911 on there at that time too. Anyway though, thanks for watching this, and thanks for watching my other videos, and for subscribing and commenting. Be on the lookout for more of these and the DVD updates. Thanks again for watching. Oh, and if you have any suggestions on things you'd like me to review specifically, or anything you'd like me to talk about, just let me know. Okay, thanks.